Hello, from Whakatāne Hospital, Cinco de Mayo. That's why I'm just a little Mexican person today. My name is Kelly Phelps. I'm your Senior Medical Officer in the Emergency Department, and also your pre-vocational educational supervisor to make sure you get registered, and hopefully your sailing through to Whakatāne goes smoothly using myself and the team. To my right.
Kia ora tātou. My name's Talia. I'm a PGY1 House Officer here at Whakatāne, currently working on the medicine service, I think. Thank you. I was trained in Whakatāne Hospital but I'm loving Whakatāne. It was my first choice on the ACE program and would highly recommend.
Hello everyone, my name's Jess Killich. We've got Jess Polo who's coming but isn't here yet, but I'm Jess Killich. I'm a PGY2 House Officer here at Whakatāne and I was here last year as well. I was here as a student and trained through Auckland. But yeah, happy to chat more.
Kia ora koutou, ngā mihi nui kia koutou. My name is Dane. I'm a PGY2 house surgeon here at Whakatāne Hospital. I, like Jess, was here as a medical student at the same time as her. I put ACE, Whakatāne first on my ACE application and have never regretted the decision one bit. Very happy to be here speaking with you today.
So without further ado, how we roll in Whakatāne is to show us the people, and that's why a lot of these guys come and why I stay here as well. So hopefully our video kind of shows you that, and very important to know that RMO's actually helped do this and did most of the work on this guy. So I hope you enjoy it.
Welcome to Whakatāne Hospital. My name is Arona Smith and I'm the team leader for the Māori section in Whakatāne Hospital. I'd like to take the opportunity to promote Whakatāne Hospital and its whānau atmosphere. We have open discussions with a lot of junior doctors here in our premises in Te Whare o Irakiwa. They work closely with our team on the ground next to our whānau, and we enjoy the dialogue. We walk the treaty, we talk the talk, and we walk the walk, and we're a great whānau. And I think if there's any place you want to come to, it's Whakatāne Hospital. Orera, kia ora koutou.
Kia ora, my name's Te Reinga. I'm a paukōkiri here at the Whakatāne Hospital, and as part of my position here, I get to talk with, work with our lovely doctors, such as Jess over here, and I'm known as a cultural practitioner, so we get to speak or talk with our whānau about all their care plans and anything cultural that they might need, and we advocate on behalf of our whānau with our doctors and all the other clinicians in the hospital. We also get to spend time every Fridays with our doctors, with our wānanga takuta, and it's talking about general things about te ao Māori, which is relevant to our people here in the hospital. Kia ora.
Kia ora, I'm Jess. I'm one of the PGY1s at Whakatāne Hospital, and for me, one of the most special things about working in Whakatāne is that we get to work alongside te paukōkiri, and the support they give us on the ward every day helps us to be able to do the best we can for the Māori patients. And we've got a very high population of Māori in the Eastern Bay of Plenty, and in terms of the support they give us, it's you just can't measure how much of a difference that makes for us to do our job to the best of our ability. And compared to other hospitals I've worked in, their presence on the ward is huge. So yeah.
Kia ora, my name's Jessie. I'm a PGY2 house officer here at Whakatāne Hospital. I came here as a 5th year and then obviously came back as a PGY1 and I've stayed here as a PGY2. I think that the move going from a student becoming a doctor is just one of the scariest things that you could think of doing. I'm sure you guys are all feeling that. And I just thought that coming to a hospital like Whakatāne Hospital makes it the easiest place to do that. Mostly just because you've got such good contact with the bosses, you've got such a friendly team, and you're such a close-knit, tight group of doctors that all work together. My name's Rose Ganaway. I'm currently a 5th year medical student here in the beautiful Eastern Bay of Plenty. The hospital here is just, I mean I heard good things, but since being here I can only say that it is a beautiful little community. You get extremely hands-on, and the closeness with you being a student or a house officer with consultants is next to none. It's something that I don't know you would get in other places, but it's wonderful here.
My name's Sharon Powley. I'm the clinical nurse manager of Te Whare Whakarata Tai Tamariki, which is the children's ward here in Whakatāne. We want someone who's enthusiastic, wants to be a part of a team, understands our community, or at least wants to learn to understand our community.
No mai hara mai ki Whakatāne, an absolutely awesome place to be a PGY1. You can live on the beach, a 10-minute drive from work. There's heaps to do in the local community and heaps to get involved with, and the staff here are so nice and so supportive, so you will learn heaps, you'll work good hours, and you'll have heaps of fun. So come to Whakatāne.
I'm Gary, I'm a PG2 house officer here in Whakatāne. I really like the culture here in Whakatāne Hospital. It's much friendlier than what you find in one of the big tertiary centres, and you get to know the consultants at a much more personal level, and that means when you need advice, they're much more available.
Hi, my name is Prue McCallum. I'm a palliative care specialist and I work in Whakatāne Hospital. I think working in Whakatāne Hospitals is great because of the small size of the hospital and the fact that everybody tends to know everyone else from all the different specialties. So it's quite, it's a very friendly place to work and quite collegial.
What have you got to say for the new PGY1s for Whakatāne Hospital?
Well, we look forward to meeting them, I guess.
How good?
Everyone in Whakatāne has a smile. Here's some of our friendly radiology staff.
Hi, kia ora!
Oh, what is happening? We are trying to sell Whakatāne to the PGY1s for next year.
Which is very good.
Yeah, yeah.
Good luck.
Yeah, why should they come to Whakatāne?
It's a nice place.
Yeah.
Loving, collegial atmosphere. People are good.
What's
nice
it like
working
having
here?
a house officer and no registrars?
House officers, they are excellent here. They learn so much. I'm very happy with working with them. All good.
Fabulous! And as you can see, we're on a first name basis.
What have you got to say for the new PGY1s for Whakatāne Hospital?
Wait, which ones? That one?
No.
Wait, which ones?
My name's Jessie. I'm
Just kidding.
House officers, they are excellent here. They learn so much. I'm very happy with working with them.
I do apologise for my hat.
Right. What's it like working in Whakatāne Hospital?
It's the worst experience of my entire life.
I hope you enjoyed that. It has very much a Whakatāne spin on it. showing all the way from nurses to house officers to all of a pretty good range of people that you guys work with every day. And you can't have a good video without a blooper reel, so I thought that was quite, so that's what we had to work on. So if this is your first time coming into one of these webinars, basically we're going to run through what you guys have to do to get here, and hopefully you want to be here, and we want you to be here. The process is quite similar through several of the other hospitals, I'm pretty sure. So we're going to run pretty quick through it. But if I go too fast, let me know. So here are we, and Jess kind of squeezed in the back there as well. You already saw her on the video as well. A little camera shy, we all are, that's okay. So Jesse, Talia, myself, Kelly, and Dane are here for any questions at the end. And please be sure to ask them if you need to. So you guys are working on your ACE, I'm pretty sure right now. I've already done a couple of references myself and getting your letter references in there and your CVs and your cover letters. So that's the way we look at our recruitment as well. And so those applications go through our password and get looked at by myself and my fellow pre-educational supervisors. They're, as well as we have opinions from our RMOs. We take opinions from anyone who was in the RIF program as a student. If you remember Matt and Yvonne. People we remember as students here. If I don't remember, someone else has done a run. So we do our research like private investigators, even more than ACE. Yeah. Yeah. I don't Facebook stalk though. So what's important to us in Whakatāne is someone who really wants to come here, who knows the area, who has whānau here. That's really, just like Sharon, the children's manager said, when we look at your application, I'm sure they're all stellar and they're all pretty in their own way. We want to see what makes you shine, why you are going to be unique to the other hundreds and hundreds of applicants. So let us know why that is. Cover letters should actually take a lot of time and effort, in my opinion. You took all that time in medical school to do those good grades, to suffer through all your exams, to go through all your medical placements. But this is your opportunity to tell what you want to do for your goals of your life. Like, what do you want to see yourself at? And that's regardless of anywhere you go and apply to, but that's, the more specific you are about where you want to go, the people reading that letter will understand. So please make sure grammatically correct, someone who's can look at it for you and make sure that's okay. Personalized to where you're sending it to. So you make sure you put your hospital to the correct hospital, and an address to the correct person would be lovely. Your CV, show us what you do outside school as well. Do you do volunteer work? Did you do a job? What did you do before you went to medical school? We all look at that. Letter of references, I can't say enough to get good ones. No, ask people that you personally know well, that you've done projects with, that knows your name, knows who you are amongst the rest of you. Because we do know quite a few people who are references, and we can potentially ask them for further information if needed. And you'll see the rest of the stuff. We do look at ties to community, right fit for the population, rural aspirations. Have you come and visit us? Have you done a student? Anything else, you guys? It's pretty much, yeah. All right, moving on. All of the applications do look personally reviewed, and we do make a short list of our favorites. We had a communal kind of agreement on who our short list is, with the SMOs and our staffing being what it is. Interviewing everyone we want to is basically impossible, but we do try to interview them as many as we can. And that's usually video conferencing because of everyone's travels and things like that. Yeah. Oh, and then the hard part, ranking. Yeah. Yeah, good luck with that. That's fun. A hospital campus visit. It says it's not essential, but I really highly recommend it. I really highly recommend it. We don't have Uber, so if you do visit, make sure you got some wheels. A bicycle is a good way of seeing it as well. To make sure this is a kind of a good fit for you. We are, if you don't know where we are, look us on the map. We are very close to everything though. So very close to Rotorua for mountain biking, Tauranga for the mall. The East Cape is beautiful to get out of town and Auckland's not too far. So I think it's quite central versus everything else, right? Yeah. If you've already kind of noticed, we are very much people. And small teams, small groups, we need people that work well with others, who advocate for our patients. We do have quite a high depravity scores in the area. And just like Sharon said, would like to understand our population is pretty much a must. We can help you with that for sure. But we enjoy compassionate, eager, eager people. Yeah, and that's what we get to offer. And most places do those kind of things. But what would you say?
Staff parking. Most
don't do
that.
Yeah. You can park and be in the hospital and not get rained on most of the time.
And always have a park.
And always have a park.
You don't have to come hours early.
And no traffic. Yes, that is very true. That is very true. All right, so that's us in a nutshell. Did you guys want to add
and the
anything?
teaching, daily teaching. Most places don't do that.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, you want to talk about teaching?
Yeah, we can. We have daily teaching here at Whakatāne. Actually pretty much every day in our lunch times. It's technically a blocked hour of time where people can't pay you. And so it's really cool because all the departments come and it's usually consultant led as well. And it's from everyone in the hospital, like literally any department. So if you want to know more about anesthesiology or diabetes or medicine or anything, and you can even request teaching sessions as well, which we often do. Yeah, it's great.
I think with that, if you are somebody who wants to gain experience in teaching other people as well, it's a really good environment to do so. In a number of the videos and pictures, you would have seen medical students who are really heavily involved with our teams. And also there's like a great tuakana taina older brother or older sister, younger brother, younger sister relationship at this hospital. So you get lots of opportunities to be taught, but also to teach as well.
For sure. Sometimes. Stop share?
Just at the end.
Oh, is there one more? Oh, right. Contacts, I'll leave that up for a little while. So myself, Steve Robinson and Chris Hewlett are the educational supervisors through the medical council. Feel free to email us. I am a shift worker, so email is the best way to get me. Stephen Robinson is our pediatrician, head of department, and Chris Hewlett is the head of department of the medical team. And so between the three of us, we keep a pretty good eye on everybody. We see everybody throughout the whole hospital, and we definitely have the open door policy, open door email if you do have any issues. If you want to visit, please give us, I would CC all three of us, mostly because we can arrange who's on shift or who's working or who's on call, and we try to give you a buddy to an RMO who might be on relief or free to show. I always found the best and person to ask is who's actually has the job already. Yeah, and they're pretty good at honest answers. So bring on honest questions and we'll give you honest answers. Pretty sure. So how many PGY1s do you take? We currently take 6. And sometimes there are open slots that do show up later in the year that do pop up, but through ACE, we take 6. The next question is, yeah, how to come visit? Yay! Come email us. Yeah.
We're going to quick answer.
Which one?
Yeah, and then quick answer.
Oh.
Click done. Yeah. Down the bottom right.
Done.
And then the next.
Perfect.
Done. Done. How's that?
Yep, I'll just ask the rest of the TIs that are watching if they've got any questions, just to use the Q&A chat function as normal type of way. Just give you guys a couple of minutes to get some questions in there.
I've got another couple of questions.
Nope, we're good. So the question is, kia ora, with the low intake number, are paired applications unlikely to get a place? So if you are a very good, keen couple, yes, we do look at couples for sure. If that's, you know, we are very much a supporter of, if you have a support partner, you have whānau here, that's where you're, we do look at paired applications for sure.
And we've also currently got a couple. Yeah. Yeah.
A couple of couples?
Yeah, they got a job as a couple.
Yeah.
So
yes.
Definitely doable.
Yes. Do studentships through Whakatāne help towards your application? Does that mean like for their rotations for as students?
I did a studentship here at Whakatāne. I'm assuming that by studentship you mean like a summer research scholarship. And I certainly think that strengthened the number of links with the people I had in the hospital. And we certainly recognise that people who do studentships are invested in our community, and particularly in a research capacity, which shows the desire to improve the community as well. It would be good to make sure that you're told your studentship supervisor that you're interested in coming back, just to close that loop of communication so that the right people know about that.
That's very good advice, Dane. Thanks.
That helps me too, Dane. Thanks very much, mate. I didn't know what a studentship was.
Oh, when do you start working nights as a PGY1?
6 months.
Do we still buddy?
No.
If we can. Oh, that's because of COVID, eh?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah. Okay.
After 6 months of being a PGY1, you start doing nights.
Right.
Unbuddy.
Unbuddy. But I've already done long days before that. So long days and weekends, you're kind of getting the use of putting out the fires like you would on a night shift.
Yeah, I agree.
Right,
I'd actually say that in the general challenge of the work comes more in your long days initially, where you're very well supported, and then the nights tend to, on average, be a bit more settled than some of the long days we've had.
Oh, and I guess we're saying unbuddied, but it used to be that you were the only house officer in the hospital, but now we've got an ED house officer as well in ED. And so even though they're not buddying you through your night shift, if you have any questions, I mean, you can go ask the house officer, but actually you go ask the ED boss, but you've always got other people there who can help you if you're worried.
What are the runs? Are we able to do 1 year there and 1 year in another Bay Plenty hospital? Jane, do you want to take that answer?
There's certainly been an increasing number of RMOs that have travelled between Tauranga and Whakatāne. So for a lot of the Whakatāne RMOs, it's when they reach PGY3 or registrar level. So we quite often see them come through and do join our medical registrar team. We also have a reverse flow, like later this year, we've got 2 PGY2s coming down to do ED and O&G in Whakatāne. So it's encouraged, and there's obviously priority given to internal movement before we take on external staff.
I guess the runs that are available as a PGY1, Gen Med, Gen Surg, Ortho, and you might do one of those again, or you'll do a psychiatry run. And then as PGY2,
PEDS, O&G, ED, a number of community placements, including GP, palliative, and sexual health.
Public health.
On public health.
And then relief runs.
Yes, really good.
Yeah.
So you get a good general base as a PGY1, I would say. Yeah.
So hi, obviously Auckland students had the opportunity to have worked at Whakatāne Hospital, but those students that did not get this opportunity didn't even be disadvantaged in their application, even if they completed a World Immersion program in South Island. Kudos to you. I'm glad the South Island does that. There is, I wouldn't say there's not a disadvantage between the two. We take Auckland and Dunedin guys, and let us know, especially in your letter, that you've done that, and we do take that into consideration for sure. And tell us what you liked about it. You know, what did that shape why your future endeavors or those kind of things?
I think it's also important to note that we do have current PGY1s and PGY2s that came from Otago University. None of us, did you go to Otago or no?
No.
None of us did, but there are definitely at least 2 people in PGY1 that I can think of that were Otago grads, and at least 2 people in PGY2.
We were 3.
And in the years leading up to that, there have always been Otago graduates who have come to Whakatāne Hospital. So sometimes even 50-50 or more have come from Otago. So I wouldn't say that excludes you at all.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Would a commute from Papamoa be conceivable?
I did a lot of commuting when I was a TI. So I lived in Tauranga and was a TI in Rotorua Hospital, and then moved here actually halfway through the year and then commuted from here. And I would say as a TI it was doable because you're not really doing night shifts, and maybe you do an occasional long day, but they're very occasional. Whereas I would say maybe when you're doing the first 6 months and you don't have to do nights, you could. But I would say when you're doing night shifts, it's not, I wouldn't think it would be a great idea. And the other reason would be like long days as well. Driving back would be pretty tiring. I guess if you had a place to stay here, it'd be different. And then I guess as well, kind of being a bit of part of the community. It's kind of nicer to live here. I don't know about otherwise. We do have a lot of nurses, we have a lot of staff in general who do commute. But as a PGY1, I think it would be a lot to be doing that as well.
Thanks, Jess. Oh, this is a great question. Question for the House Officer is, do you feel like you see enough diversity in presentation?
Yes. So I think where this question might be coming from is we don't have the diversity of specialist services, but you've got to remember that in those specialist services in the tertiary centres, the patients present often to places like Whakatāne Hospital. They're seen and worked up here initially and then are moved on to more specialty services like in Tauranga and Waikato. So we see a hugely diverse range of presentations. I would say moreover than any other place that I worked as a student, and even subjectively in conversations with some of the other colleagues I've talked to, because you work in a general medicine team that sees gastroenterology, neurology, geriatrics, you get all of that. General surgery, you see urology, neurosurge presentations, etc. You get all of that. Whereas if you were working in a more specialised service as a house surgeon, I'd imagine you'd see an even narrower presentation at most other hospitals compared to ours.
That's pretty much right.
Yeah.
How many beds are in Whakatāne for inpatients? On the website, we have 100 beds, and probably about 86 is considered 100% full because of nursing staff. There's swing beds. A little bit about our hospital. It's 5-6 years old now. Still kind of looks newish.
Yeah.
It's built very interestingly, and because clinicians actually had a hand in conceiving it. So what we have is a hot floor. So the ED, the ICU, and radiology is all very close. And medical surgery and peds are just off of that. So, and then between pediatrics and ICU, there's a swing bed. So when bronchiolitis sick kids during the winter go kind of move swing beddy into the ICU, and when ICU has more patients, it can use those beds as well. So the nurses do get flux. A surgical medical list is how many patients at a time, you reckon?
Per consultant?
Per consultant is 4 or 5 consultants with
I typically have about 8 patients a day on medicine. On my list, but some of them are kind of long haulers as well.
Yeah.
So I don't really but it's pretty nice workload. On a surgical list, you might have, I don't know, 15, 20, but it varies. Yeah, the busiest service is probably general surgery, and you're typically, what do you reckon on that? Like 12 to 20. Yeah. Patients. That's definitely the busiest room in this hospital, but
there's two orthopedic house officers and 2 general house officers to take that workload.
And we all help one another out.
Yeah.
Cool. Does that answer, I hope, most of it? At which point will you be working in ED during PGY 2? Your second year, you're allowed to do ED in Whakatāne?
Yeah, I wonder whether, just a background to this question, in the past, there was an expectation that on nights as a PGY1, you might spend some time in ED. That has changed. Now we have an ED house surgeon overnight. So the ward house surgeon won't be called to ED except in emergencies or really drastic overload. And then same for after your long days, occasionally you needed to go to ED, but in general, the staffing there has been improved and it's less of a necessity.
But I guess on the flip side, if that's something you're wanting to do, I think I can say, Kelly, there are opportunities to go to ED if you want to. So not as a whole run, but like on a weekend, like if you're not that busy and your sort of short day finishes, so that's at 12, then you can stay on the wards or go to ED if you feel you're able to, or they might ask you to go to ED if they're really busy.
So next question, how does it feel without registrars? Can you handle the after hours stuff truthfully? Is it scary?
Who wants to answer?
I can start. That's a big question to consider when you come into Whakatāne, but my answer to that would be, it is a little bit scary initially, but when you realise how well supported you are by the ECMOs, especially the medical ECMOs, who almost literally said, we don't expect you to know how to handle, almost anything. You can call us for anything, essentially. And that's really reassuring to know that they're on the end of the phone and they're not going to be annoyed if you wake them up or annoyed if you ask them just a small question if you're not quite sure. So you're very, very well supported. And obviously you don't have to go through a registrar to get to the consultants. You've got that direct line to the boss. That's kind of my say for that.
I guess there's like positives and negatives to it. So the positives is that I'll start with the negatives, I guess. Kind of as Jess was saying, I mean, it is scary, obviously, when you're starting off. But as Jess said, you've got the boss on the end of the phone. They actually sometimes call you on your first long day if you haven't called them, because they're like, are you okay? Do you need any help? Like, we haven't heard from you. We're worried that we haven't heard from you. And so they're just so supportive. You'll never get like told off over the phone for calling. And yeah, the obviously really good side of that is that you aren't fighting anyone for procedures. You get to do way more procedures if you want to. If you don't want to do them, obviously you don't have to, but there's not a med reg who you're, down from. Similarly, if you want to go scrub into theatre, you can. We do have surgical and ortho registrars, but they always need more help as well. So, yeah.
I'd say that was one of the biggest influences for me coming to Whakatāne was the more hands-on work and the out-of-hours stuff being more on my own. The reason for that being that so I did most of my training in a big tertiary hospital, and when you are in a tertiary hospital, sometimes you can almost be like the 10th person in line to do something. Whereas here, although it is more scarier because you are at the center of it all, you may be the first person responding to something. It's like a healthy fear in a way. It pushes you out of your comfort zone, and you don't lose that continuity with the patients. You see them. I suppose that's another thing. Our acute care unit, most big hospitals, the sort of HDU or ICU units are closed units, meaning that it's run by the intensivists that work there. But our ACU unit is open, and even as a PGY1 house officer, you will be in there caring for patients. But I guess that comes back to that collegiality aspect of Whakatāne. You can ring the boss when you've got a really sick patient, and they will not hesitate to help you. And so I really like that because I feel like I get to follow through these patients and look after them even when they are really unwell, whereas usually you'd be handing that over the reg and you never see that. It leaves the ward and you don't quite get to experience it until you get to step up. So I think in terms of our transition into registrar years, I can't say it yet, but I feel like it'll stand us in better stead for that.
Well said. Thanks, guys. I hope that answered your question. Do we specifically look for people hoping to stay for 2 years or more? Are you keen for eager people who want to experience multiple areas over their early years too? How should I answer that? I'm looking, well, when I say I, the group mostly too, is looking for at least a 2-year commitment, really. And from there, you can fly your wings. At PGY3s, we have a lot of people that go to Med Reg. Recently, we've had a couple Surge Reg, ED, house officers, HHO jobs, those kind of things. So everyone does flying their wings a little bit elsewhere to PGY3 years, but
I think Whakatāne is quite good in terms of supporting people trying to do things pre-vocationally, if that makes sense. So I think a lot of people come down here and in their PGY 2 year do like the O&G diploma, the PEDS diploma. There are other diplomas out there that you can do, and you typically have the workload to be able to do that as well without feeling burnt out or like, yeah. So it is a good commitment. And also in terms of access to runs, I personally, well, one day I want to get onto the orthopedic training program, if that'll ever happen. And part of that, a prerequisite is to get into get a ED run, and you've got to do a 3-month ED run. In some of the bigger tertiary hospitals, it's almost impossible to get a 3-month ED run. So a lot of people do that as a registrar, and so there goes 6 months of your life, which is fun. But if you've got things that you need to pick up as well, it is a good place to come and do those, get access to those sorts of runs. Yeah, it's fun down there, but.
How many theatres, and do you get much theatre time?
There's 3 theatres here. There is never, so there's usually, in terms of acute theatres, that's a bit hit or miss. It is like, they pretty much try to squeeze, there are certain times and days when it is booked for acute cases, but typically they tack things on the end of elective lists. In terms of after hours theatres, that's something that I'd say does lack here. It's practically life or limb or very minor procedural tasks that occur after hours. But in terms of accessing theatre, as a house officer, it is very accessible. You can have as much theatre time as you want as long as you get your jobs done, and people are really open to supporting you and letting you scrub, letting you participate, and I will say that your surgical skills will improve.
Is there plans to have a GP run in PGY 1 or 2 within the coming years? Would this be a possibility? Jane, do you want to answer that, or do you guys want to answer that?
There already is one.
Yeah, there is one.
Yeah, I've just come back from 3 months at Te Kaha Medical Centre, which is a GP clinic owned and run by the DHB. It was facilitated very easily. It was something I really wanted to do, and there was absolutely no barrier to me doing it. So in that sense, the DHB was very supportive to getting me to a GP run. In terms of urban GP possibilities, I'll let Jan say something about that.
Thanks, Dane. You may be aware that the New Zealand Medical Council have a prerequisite which was due to be effective for the beginning of the 2021 year for all PGY 1 and /2 RMOs to complete a community-based run. So obviously this year, going into the new year, which will be January 2022, we'll be expanding our base and opportunities for community runs so that we can accommodate all RMOs at both sites to complete that requirement for council. So that will definitely include another GP run, which hopefully will be down a Potiki way maybe. And we're also establishing a Māori health unit run here in Tauranga. And we probably need one further run, which could include community-based elderly care. So those are the ones that we've got on the agenda. Whether they all come off or not is debatable, but that's what we're going to be trying to achieve for the end of the year.
Thanks, Jan. So I'll get the next two questions kind of together. So is Whakatāne Training Hospital, and is a Whakatāne a training hospital for different specialty programs? So we recently, I won't even say recently, we are accredited for rural hospitalists, and we're starting that rural hospitalist training program in August, which is very exciting for us. It's been a project that's been on traction for years now, and it's going to be actually seen visibly with warm bodies, yay, in July. And that will be set up with anesthetic, something else, Andrea? Medicine, ED, those three for now, right? A training hospital for surg-reg being talked about and in progress for accreditation. Hasn't come to fruition yet. Same with orthopedics. There's plenty of work for it, plenty of work for anesthetic training. I think Tauranga is just now getting their anesthetic training more amped up as well. Anything else, Jane, I'm leaving out? Oh, mute. Oh, sorry.
Obviously accredited for PGY 1s and 2s, and the recently accredited rural medicine, as you mentioned. I think there is some accreditation available for MedReg, for a MedReg post down there outside of the rural medicine, and orthopedics is potentially looking at applying for that accreditation as well.
That's right.
I think I'd maybe just add to that, that if you're thinking of coming to Whakatāne and you don't want to do like rural, become a rural specialist or one of the others you mentioned, that PGY 1 and 2 is all like the time to come to Whakatāne, because it's unless you come back as an SMO, and that those in-between years is, you know, not those opportunities to train here. So if this is a hospital you want to spend some time in, PGY 1 and 2 is the time to do that.
We are also having a huge resurgence of SMOs who were here as house surgeons, coming back after their training, so gone away and done what they want, but decided this was the place to set up their families after being here as junior doctors. And I think that speaks strongly to the bonds that you form as a PGY 1 and 2 with the community and the hospital, but then also just to the general feel of the hospital that we are really beginning to bring people back.
Cool. Do you answer that one? Do you have any Māori SMOs at Whakatāne?
Yeah, no, currently no Māori SMOs, but we do have a lot of Māori RMOs here at Whakatāne. There's definitely Māori SMOs at Tauranga, and in terms of Te Oranga, there is like Whakatāne is included in Tauranga's outreach, and same with Rotorua. There's a few Māori SMOs down those ways. But that doesn't typically deter Māori RMOs from coming, and there in terms of Te Ao Māori and cultural support or wanting, you know, expressing your Māori tongue on the ward, there's no problem with that. We have heaps of Māori nurses and Māori in management on the wards and in like office management at the Bay of Plenty, and we work really closely with Te Pau Kōkiri, and that provides almost like a safe space to be Māori. And we've just recently, or Te Pau Kōkiri have developed the program Wānanga Tākuta, which you would have heard about in the video, which is a 8-week program where all RMOs are invited, including SMOs. SMOs do come and learn about the Māori in the Eastern Bay, what it's like to be a Māori clinician. Honestly, it's so much more advanced here in comparison to anywhere else that you'll go. Yeah, so it's a safe space to be Māori and be proud to be Māori. Yeah. That's what I have to say.
Cool.
I guess also a really good place to learn Māori, because you've got the nurses that Māori is their first language, and they're more than happy to give you tips and have you practice what you've learnt with them, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, I can't imagine ever being turned away here in the pursuit of your Aotearoatanga or your Māoritanga, just supporting what my other two colleagues have said. It's a special place to work on that aspect of health, and it's critical for this community going forward.
Awesome.
Ka pai for your korero. Just leave questions for another 20 seconds. There's usually one or two that will come in right at the end. So just to last some
You guys have anything else that we didn't mention?
I guess other than just like hospital stuff, we didn't talk very much about stuff to do outside of the hospital.
What do you hear all the time?
Whakatāne Hospital is definitely a great place to have a great work-life balance, because your workload is very manageable, and then the only times it's busier is your after hours times. And so there's just so much awesome stuff to do, like outdoor stuff. I'd say if you're a city dweller, you still might want to come to see the, you know, rural life, but you're not necessarily going to have great bars and things like that. But the outdoor stuff is just awesome. Great mountain biking, surfing, tramping. Yeah.
You can live at the beach and be at work in 10 minutes, guaranteed. No traffic either. Which is pretty awesome.
And club sport, there's like heaps of club sport that goes down here down here in the Eastern Bay. I've joined a marae netball team. I'm playing for Poroporo, and I'm even going to go to my netball training tonight. So it's a thing here. You can have a life outside of medicine. Yeah.
So we've got a couple more questions. Ballpark figure to buy a house there.
Cheaper than Auckland.
Yeah, a lot cheaper than Auckland.
It's actually pretty rough out here to buy a house. The whole housing system is really messed up, and we are getting overflow from that. I'm not gonna butter it up. You can
Country wide too.
You can jump on Trade Me, have a look. People want to live here, and it's starting to show in the housing market. Yeah.
Yeah, I just bought a house. So I kind of got in just before the slight boom that has occurred. So I think I was a bit lucky in that respect. But I think if you're wanting a ballpark figure as in money, I would say very least you would get 400,000, but it's pretty unlikely now. Up to, I mean, the houses in Hope obviously sell for like more than $1 million. So pretty huge range. But it is doable. Yeah,
it's doable.
And I also have a dog. I would say it is. And there's obviously a lot of kiwi protection areas, like Ohope in the Hill. You can't really take your dog on the walks that are there, but all the beaches are dog friendly. There's a lot of walks like out of town a little bit, like 20 minutes out of town, that are awesome. There's a bike park where you can take your dogs for a walk. Yeah, so I would say yes, it is.
Great. Well, tēnā koe, Jan, and kia ora and ka pai, Dr. Phelps and your team, Jess, Talia, Jessica, Dane, who have come along this afternoon to spend some time to talk to our TIs about what it's like to work in the Whakatāne as part of the Bay of Plenty District Health Board. A thank you from me for your korero and your time that you spent with us. If the students have any other questions for you, I guess they can direct them through to Jan or myself, and I can act as a conduit and pass them on. Thank you very much. Kia kaha, and good luck with all the TI's applications this year. We hope you enjoyed today's event. Ma whenua, ma pongo, ka o te ai te mahi. All the very best with the rest of the year.
Cool, thank you. Thanks for your first step of coming to this webinar. Good step. Thanks for hosting.
No worries. Haere rā. Have a good night.